Happy Wednesday to you.
See you, sir.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. We'll get started this morning. I guess we have a clock in here. Mine shows a minute earlier than that one or later. Welcome to the today, to the September 16th. The September 16th meeting. We'll start with roll call this morning.
Chairman Baker?
Yes. Here.
Vice Chairman Lewitt? Commissioner Edwards? Commissioner Casey?
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman?
Here.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Here.
Commissioner Armstrong?
Here.
Commissioner Fellows?
Here.
Very good. Thank you. I'd like to start with the introductions of our visitors today, our members, and our other associated cohorts.
Thank you, Chairman Baker. I'm Pat McMurray. I'm the Director of Construction Industries Division and Manufactured Housing Division for the State of New Mexico.
Good morning. I'm Len Clark. I'm the Chief Building Official of the City of Albuquerque, and Electrical Jack member.
Good to see you.
J.T. Baca, Mechanical Plumbing Bureau Chief for the Construction Industries Division.
Andy Dalmy, Licensing Manager, CID.
Martin Dometto, General Construction Bureau Chief.
Kelly Hunt, Electrical Bureau Chief.
Clay Bailey, LP Gas Bureau Chief.
I'm Jack Millark with New Mexico Home Builders Association.
Kathy Joe with PSI? Sheila Sachino with Compliance CID.
Jude Reason, Chief Criminal Investigator, CID.
Victor Sarah, Project Coordinator, CID.
Paul Martinez, Paul's Plumbing and Heating.
Rachel Martinez, Paul's wife.
Brought the boss with me. I think all people can certainly understand that one.
Sean Calvert, Manacucci.
Marcus Garcia from the Garcia Law Firm for George Varela Construction.
Diane Goodwin, citizen.
Jay Rogie, Electrical Inspector, Northern Region.
Nina Hollander, Electrical Inspector, Central Region.
Rod V. Hill, Electrical Inspector, Central Region.
Rebecca Parrish, Office of the Attorney General. Sally Galanter, Counsel for CID.
Very good. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to have a moment for anybody speaking. Does anybody want to raise their hand? Does anybody have to say anything today? Is anybody going to be speaking today? Two people? Okay. We'll get there in a second. Next, we want to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have some discussion.
We want to have some
I would like to have
discussion.
some
We have
discussion.
a motion. We have a second. We have discussion. Mr. Casey, please plead your case.
The problem I have with the agenda today is all you are well aware, we got our information for this meeting 4:56 Friday afternoon. We got another 193 pages yesterday at 11:20 in the morning. We're expected to come here and do this agenda without having adequate time to review. I think that's a bad move.
Okay.
The only thing that should have been on this agenda today was a request to move the meeting from 2 weeks from now. So we can do our documents. And so I'm not prepared to vote on anything. I'm not prepared to vote on the agenda because I haven't had time to make sure all the case numbers are correct. So that's my piece. And so I'm not voting on anything today. And what we ought to have is a motion to adjourn this meeting and have it in 2 weeks. Since I'm not going to vote on anything, if we don't want to adjourn the meeting, I'm not going to stick around anymore.
First discussion.
Chairman Baker, I just make a comment. This certainly is not an excuse, so please don't take it as such. I apologize for the information, especially on the cases, disciplinary action cases being late in the 11:30, as Mr. Casey mentioned. We have had a lot of difficulty with the computers. Our G drive has been down for 3 days, and that's where this information is parked. So there was a difficulty retrieving that. Compliance did get it and was ready to send it, and we got notice from the AG's office. Maybe Suzanne can help out a little bit here. There was a couple of cases that needed to be added to the case, and so that slowed us getting it out and mailed out a little bit sooner than it would have been. But again, no excuses. when we have to deal with those kind of circumstances, but that is in fact what happened here, and that's why Mr. Casey has an opposition. I just wanted to make sure people understood. Nothing intentional.
And I wasn't looking for excuses, I'm just stating the fact that this has happened. And now we get 193 pages yesterday, 11:20, to deal with public safety, people's licenses, and you want us to vote on it today. I just think that's ludicrous. You don't expect us to do that. And so what we should have been doing is postponing the meeting.
No. Thank you. Anyone else?
I can say that I did not have enough time to review it.
I'd make a motion that we adjourn this meeting right now and reconvene in 2 weeks. That's what we should be doing.
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a few comments here with regard to the two cases that are on for the deliberation in connection with the admin and adjudicatory proceedings. Case number G1, the Cayman hearing officer report. I personally emailed that to all commissioners shortly after it was signed.
Yes.
So that was around July 31st, August 1st, along with the transcript and, or not the transcript, the audio transcript and all of the exhibits. So,
And I have reviewed that one.
So 7G1, with the exception of Commissioner Kaufman, who just recently joined a few days ago, 7G1 materials necessary for making a decision were personally emailed by me.
No, I understand that. And we did receive those, and I did review that one. But I'm saying the ones we got yesterday.
And that is something that the Office of the Attorney General has no control over when CID chooses to send out the rest. I likewise got that package 2 days ago, and I spent till, well, we don't want to say.
Well, my whole point in this is that we really have no business voting on any of this today, but several other commissioners have not reviewed it.
With respect, Commissioner Casey, I believe that there is, for 7G1,
We could do that.
that has been provided, that's been over a month that commissioners have had that package. With regard to 7G2, that hearing officer report, I believe, was issued just a few days ago, I believe.
I got it sometime last week.
Exactly, and so you may have that took quite a while for my colleague, Mr. Granata, to assist with drafting that hearing officer report. And with regard to the other items, all of this, as I call it, the sea of cases that are listed A through E, I agree they were untimely delivered by CID.
Question. Is there a statutory requirement other than the 72-hour public notice on the agenda required that CID gets this to us? Because I know in the past we've had discussions that we would like to have this stuff a couple of weeks early so that we have time to review it. But I also understand that things happen. Moving to a new building, computer problems, my network was down for half the day yesterday. Still got to get my job done. Still got to make decisions. Still got to do what I got to do. If we run across something in the agenda that we feel we're not prepared for, we can table it. We have that option. If we run across something that we don't have issue with, we act on it.
I would agree if this wasn't the second meeting in a row this has occurred. This is a one-time thing, sure, I understand. This is the second meeting in a row.
We still have to do the business of the state.
But we have to do the
regardless
business of the state.
Of whether or not our feelings are hurt or we're upset.
My feelings aren't hurt. I'm just not prepared to vote on something or vote on someone's compliance and put public safety or someone's license at risk because I haven't had time to do something.
I understand that.
And
Like I
I
said,
wouldn't
if
be
we
doing
run
my
across,
job if I did that.
like I said, if we run across something that we feel we need to spend some more time with,
Everyone?
I don't have a problem tabling something. I mean, we've tabled things in the past on a regular occasion. So move
It's up to
forward.
you. I mean, I'm not going to vote on anything. It's just crazy. It's not my job.
Would you be willing to go along with the meeting and we'll address all the issues?
I'm not gonna sit here and waste my time all day when I'm not gonna vote on
Okay,
it.
I understand that. And that's fine. That's your decision. Commissioner, you make it.
It's one thing if I felt comfortable voting on something, but I don't. The only one I reviewed is the case that was sent out to us in July.
Duly noted, but there's still some business here that we can address. And
That's up to you guys.
I certainly understand your feelings on this. I just think that we have to address some issues on here that obviously we have the ability to vote on.
I feel I have the ability to vote on nothing because I'm not gonna do it. That's what I want. There's no sense in just sitting here all day to not vote on it. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of a lot of people's time.
How about 7G1?
If you want to call executive session now, but I'm gonna sit here all day and vote on one item. You know what time that'll be? That'll be 2:30 this afternoon, 3 o'clock this afternoon.
We could change that up a little bit and move it up. That would.
If you want to do that, I'm more than happy to review it. I've reviewed that one.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
I would also request that the item that involves plumbing be reviewed and requested. That has been, that was notified, I think people are familiar with that, have been, case, we're not sure what the case number is actually. But Mr. Polish Plumbing is here representing that. He would like to address the commission. It's under special considerations, 182, Summary Code 13-05-15.
Knowledge on.
Everyone to go forward on the one is G, one item that's in question.
Do you have the information on the?
That's the only one that I've reviewed.
Okay.
I know nothing about Paul's Plumbing or even which number it is. Or
how about items 2 through 6?
No, I haven't reviewed any of that.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we can get some work done. I don't know if Commissioner Casey doesn't participate if we don't have a quorum or not.
We have a quorum either way. You don't need to be here.
I believe we can get some work done.
We'll get out faster if I'm not here.
That's not true. Well, it may be. Yes, sir.
What if we move on and take care of new business, old business, new business? Maybe you can table the executive session.
Oh, we can do that. We can
carry on.
We can
as much
address
business as we can get done, because I know, you know, there's some commissioners that travel from distances just to attend. It'd be nice to get through some of these items.
I agree.
When does we have to act on the one that you sent us?
I'm sorry?
The case that you sent us, when do we have to act on that one?
That one, the respondents have not waived the time limits.
Right, so when would we have to act
So
on
the
that?
final decision and order needs to be entered 90 days within 90 days of the hearing. And the hearing, I believe in that was July 9th. So it does need to be decided at this meeting because as I say, the respondents have.
So that's the only thing on the agenda that has to be decided this week. We don't know the statute of any other disability, so we won't get the statute, so we don't know.
So right now, we have the current motion of approving the agenda. Correct. We have a motion.
Well, we have a motion and a second. We have only a motion and a second.
I don't know, Robert.
Well, it can die for lack of second, but it has to be a motion to adjourn.
So we would have to vote on my motion to approve first. Then we would entertain other motions second. Does anybody know the Robert's rules?
Call the question, yeah.
We have an attorney, several attorneys.
This call is that, I'll make the motion afterwards.
Okay, right now we have action on the motion to approve the agenda, so we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
It is.
We have a second with Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Well, the mayor said I'm not voting. Either way.
Very good. We have a motion. Motion approved. Next public comment, I'm going to request no more than 2 minutes of orientation or political grandstanding allowed today, but all will be welcome to speak at this meeting. Who would like to go first?
Did you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Diane Goodman. I want to say to Chairman Baker and Commissioners, first of all, welcome to Mr. Fellows to the Commission. And I would like to say thanks specifically, I guess, to the AG attorney who is allowing more transparency on the agenda, specifically noted in F and G. So I appreciate that additional transparency. We just have two questions. First, where may I obtain more information about the Information and Enforcement Bureau and who is the Bureau Chief? That's my first question. And then when would a contractor not be required to get a permit for work performed, and where may I obtain more information regarding this? So where can I find more information about the Enforcement Bureau and who is the Bureau Chief?
Is that a...
It's a question. I received a letter from the Investigation and Enforcement Bureau, tried to find out more information about it yesterday, and was not able to find that out. They don't have a name on the letter, they just have a P.O. box, and then they have the general CID number. So perhaps Mr. McMurray would like to enlighten the public about what the Investigations and Enforcement Bureau is and who is the Bureau Chief.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not familiar with the term Enforcement Bureau. If she's pertaining to our compliance unit within CID, MHD, then the person that commands over that is Commander Orville. And she's on maternity leave at this point, family leave. Jude Reason is acting in her place. And so if it's something from CID, perhaps it's from the compliance division. I'm really not sure what's being mentioned.
Did you get that information?
Well, I heard him say, I'm really not sure, but it's the letter that is related to my complaint is signed by or typed by Investigations and Enforcement Bureau 476-4700 and a P.O. box. So there's no name, there's nobody to contact. When I called the 4700 number yesterday, I was, redirected to many different places. I actually left a message for Jude, but he didn't call me back. But if there, I guess my first question is there an Investigations and Enforcement Bureau? And regarding complaints, CID complaints.
There is, and that would be part of the compliance division within CID MHD.
And who is the bureau chief?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the manager for the compliance division is Amanda Rohrbaugh.
Okay.
I think there's some semantics issues going on. The bureaus, the general building, electrical, mechanical, LP gas, mechanical plumbing, bureaus are created by statute. Compliance is a function of CID. So it's just a section of CID, just like plan review. There's not a bureau chief per se.
Part of the strange is they signed a bureau though.
It's signed, well, it's not technically signed, but it's Investigations and Enforcement Bureau with no contact name, just the general number, so.
They're not technically a bureau.
It's not
It's
signed
section of
properly?
CID.
Okay, well, then it's confusing to the consumers. I just want to say it's very confusing to consumers, and it's also not very friendly to the consumers because they don't put a name on there and they don't have a phone number on there where we can find out who it is. And there's already, they have to file a complaint, so they're dealing with that stress, and then they don't, it doesn't appear to be very friendly. So maybe we could get that taken a look at. It's very different than the way they handled things previously on previous complaints, so I just want to bring that up. And then I do, I don't know if you want to tackle it today, but I just have a general question that I think the public and contractors need to know because there may be some confusion. When would a contractor not be required to get a permit for work performed, and where may I obtain the policy or the rule regarding this?
Yeah, this is not a question and answer period. There's comments of 2 minutes.
Okay.
I appreciate your question. I will answer this one here, but no further. JT, did you have something to say?
Chairman, JT Baca, Mechanical Plumbing Bureau Chief. Permit requirements are listed in our general rules in the New Mexico Administrative Code under 14.5.2. There's a section that outlines what constitutes a requirement for a permit under general requirements.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Oh, yes. Next item, please. Yes, sir.
If I may approach.
As long as you're not packing, you're fine.
Don't even have it in the house. I'm just going to make a comment because my understanding is that I'm not allowed to make any arguments or comments concerning my client's case, which is your agenda item G2. George Varela Construction. So I'm going to, if I may, and if it may please the commission, the chairman, take 2 minutes at this point to discuss procedurally what role this case is at. Yesterday at 9 o'clock, I received the proposed findings of fact by the hearing officer. There were no conclusions of law. I didn't have any opportunity to review it except for this morning. I have an arbitration this afternoon, so I'm extremely busy. So anyways, suffice it to say, this is the third time something this significant has happened in the case. A year ago, we reached a conditional settlement. The commission rejected that, and we were never told it was rejected. We were just set for a hearing. We asked for a hearing to be continued, and it was. The procedural history presented to the board makes it appear like as if maybe we're at fault for some of the delays. The second significant fact was we had a hearing set with a hearing officer, and we were totally prepared. We had our experts lined up. Significant cost to my client, who is a small sole proprietor contractor, and the hearing officer did not show up. That was, I believe, due to the fact that he wasn't put on notice, or it was scheduled without his knowledge, or it just didn't make it on his calendar. Subsequently, we had a hearing officer, and at considerable expense, we proceeded forward. We put on a very good case, and then yesterday we did receive proposed findings of fact and no conclusions of law. So, apparently it was completed on September the 9th. We didn't receive it until yesterday, so I can't take exception to it or comment on it. I think in terms of due process, my client's legally interested. His license is at stake. He's being asked to have his license revoked, putting him out of his livelihood. So under those circumstances, I think that we would request leave to ask the commission to continue it during its deliberations and take leave. The other thing is we wanted to raise the issue of whether or not the hearing officer may participate in the deliberations because he has made proposed findings, and we think at that point it would be a conflict of interest to proceed there. And finally, this is a little bit unorthodox. In my experience with before a commission, we're not allowed to make argument directly to the commission regarding the case. I don't think that briefing, giving to commissioners the night before, the week before, or giving them tapes that they've never listened to gives the commission a sufficient idea of what the case is about. It has an idea in a sense, but it really doesn't have a flavor for what the witnesses did and said. So, in the future, I'd ask that when somebody's license is at issue, that the licensee be have an opportunity to be heard. I believe that's the conclusion of my 2 minutes. We just ask that we continue to a later date and time. My client has waived the time requirements under the statute in this case. Thank you, Commissioners.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I was really hoping this was a question and answer, so I'll keep it short.
Seems to be, it has been, but go ahead.
Just if you could cover in the meeting at some point when the proctor for the plumber journey gas is going to be replaced for PSI, and then proposed dates of the changes for proposed license classification changes from the previous meeting earlier this week. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, and Mr. Delahunt, PSI is now reviewing applications with our help from the Mechanical Bureau regarding a Raider. We had a medical Raider go out on medical leave, long-term medical leave, and then we had a Raider who vacated his position, and we're currently helping PSI make a determination very shortly. I suspect here very quickly that we will replace the Raider. However, in the interim, the Mechanical Bureau and the Mechanical TAC have been providing coverage and backup coverage, so we haven't had a lapse of test coverage. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, on the license classifications and scopes, the plan is to come back to bring the proposed changes to the CIC at the November meeting.
All righty. Oh,
Thank you.
Another one? I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I
Sometimes you
did.
gotta wave your hand way up.
Well, I'm behind somebody. I probably should sit.
And you want JT and, well, okay, well, take exception.
That's all right, talk about JT all the time.
Put a movie on my back.
I'm still dealing with the same thing and nothing has been resolved, and I really feel like I leave you totally responsible for the things that happen in my behalf to protect the taxpayers. You're all taxpayers, we all are. And right now, nothing has been done. I've waited, I'm retired, I'm on a limited income, and I just hope that your tests really indicate the capability of the contractor who does the work on our homes. I feel that I've been taken, and I want you to resolve the problem for me. I just, I don't know what to do at this point. So, check for competence of your tests, because I don't think my builder was competent. There are many areas.
There are tests for competency, but there's not always tests for, whether or not the person you're dealing with or being straight, honest, and having integrity. That goes without saying. Anybody else? We good to go? Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to report to you today the events that have taken place in July and August. First, I want to welcome Mr. Ben Fellows, AIA, to the Commission. He's the newest appointed member of the Construction Industries Commission. Mr. Fellows, congratulations on your appointment. We He brings a lot of knowledge and expertise regarding the construction industry to the commission. He's a principal with the architectural firm of SMBC. He's one of the oldest, more established, and well-respected architectural firms in the state of New Mexico. Glenn has served on the construction industry's General Construction Tech Advisory Council for the past, and he has a good understanding of CID's purposes and processes. So I appreciate his willingness to serve CID in this capacity and look forward to having Mr. Fellows on our team. Welcome.
And you didn't do that on your own, correct? No coercion. Nobody pushed. Welcome aboard.
Now he's vacated a place on our tax, so we're searching for a new tax. I also want to welcome everyone to our new location, the CID MHD offices here at 5500 San Antonio. We're very pleased with the move. We have more space, we have more natural light. We've just moved the offices and the personnel around to provide more efficient supervision of the immediate supervisors and those kind of things. We also brought more RLD people down from Santa Fe to relieve some of the space issues in Santa Fe. And we saved $9 a square foot by moving over here, which is substantial in the budget. So I also, special thanks to Rick Lucero, as he was our office manager for Albuquerque and also our plan review and permitting manager. He did a great job of coordinating all of this, and he took a lot of well-earned abuse with Sod, so I appreciate that. We continue to try and improve our field inspection services by providing them with the tools they need to perform their required responsibilities. We're continuing to focus on replacing our entire vehicle fleet over a 5-year period. We've recently replaced 20 existing trucks with new trucks, and we turned in the other 20 trucks that had over 200,000 miles on each one of those. So each bureau now is at about a 70% new vehicle or less mileage vehicle within their group. We continue to train our CID and MHD personnel on our new permitting and inspection software, Acela. We're anticipating implementing that in the middle of October, and we're excited about this new software and the efficiency and improved customer service that it will bring to CID and MHD. Part of the software capability is a new app for the iPhones that the field personnel have, and this new app will virtually replace the need for tablets. We ran a demonstration last week, and you're able to instant tracking of all the status of permitting and inspections. You can reschedule inspections. You have all the data in front of you at your fingertips in the field regarding the permits and inspections. And it'll be much more efficient, less costly, and we don't need to buy tablets. We can still use the tough books out in the field if we need to, and the inspectors will have that option, but this app on the phone will be extremely beneficial. The call center has been very busy the last 2 months, both in July and August. They handled over 5,800 calls each month. I want to give kudos to Melody Goslow. She's our customer service representative and meeting supervisor of our call center group. Call center consists of Jane Cribbles, Jeanette Saavedra, and John Lopez. You have to have a J in your first name or you don't get hired. This is a super team. Just a few weeks ago, we had 70 conversion permits from Chaves County we were handed because they lost their inspection services in that area. And the same day that they got those requests, along with taking all the calls and everything else, they rescheduled those and kept things moving. So they've been extremely beneficial throughout this move and very much appreciated. Rick Lucero, our plans and permitting manager, talks about Acela, and Chris Archuleta continues to work with our bureau chiefs and other CID staff. In the week of September, we had extended training with the inspectors and the frontline staff. In August and early September, we had extended training with the general building, mechanical, electrical, MHD, bureau chief, and inspectors. This is rolling out very fast. And I really do want to thank my entire staff for their support and taking the time out of their busy daily schedule to attend these trainings of this new software product that's coming in for us to utilize. I want to read briefly a quick email that we received from one of the trainers from the Acela folks, just talking about the commitment that my staff has had on this. It says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Lucero. I wanted to let you know how much I've enjoyed this session of and user training. Chris has been fantastic in ensuring that we not only had everything we needed, but that we also had an understanding of business processes. I can't express to you how helpful it is to have program administrators available to fill detailed business processes questions from the staff. There's always a great deal of apprehension going into a new system, and having someone available to manage those concerns and to redirect staff back to the training is invaluable. The decision to provide each inspection division a full day of training goes above and beyond what many jurisdictions choose to provide for inspectors, and the difference in the acceptance and preparedness of your inspectors is incredible. I have yet to see an agency with inspectors so excited with the prospect of how the system will improve their daily work. Taking the extra time is certainly worthwhile. Meeting with your staff has been a true pleasure, and I wish you all the best of luck in the coming weeks." So I just really reiterate how well we accepted this training and really tried. The time, of course, and the test of this will see its implementation, but it's not for lack of trying, that's for sure. The past few months, in July, we had 523 total plans reviewed. 193 of those were commercial, 330 were residential. In August, we had 526 plans reviewed, 198 were commercial, and 328 were residential. The Urenco facility in Eunice, New Mexico, the uranium enrichment facility in the southeast part of the state, there are currently 224 construction staff on site and 290 operations and support staff on site. To date, over a 3 or 4 year period, we've had over 17,000 inspections total, mechanical, electrical, general, and we're anticipating a press release from the Urenco folks regarding the partnership that's been created by CID and Urenco over the past few years and the success of this project. We're very proud of that. In the reports from my bureau chiefs, Martin Romero, Bureau Chief for General Construction Bureau, says that one of our inspectors, Jalmar Bowden, is interested in becoming a multiple inspector. You know, Mr. Casey was asking about this last month, and if we were still pursuing that, we definitely are. JT Baca, Bureau Chief for Mechanical, has approved Mr. Bowden's request, and he's working with Tom Sanchez, the Chief Inspector for Mechanical, to become a multiple inspector. So we're definitely encouraging this throughout the division. Just to let you know, some of the meetings we have, pre-construction meetings, we're working with contractors. We met with Brycon. They have a major project at UNMH. The hospital area has to be kept open the entire time of construction, and so we met with them, looked at some new products they wanted to use that would speed up the process, and we talked about how we could phase certain areas of the building and accept those as they were complete. And I took my bureau chiefs and some chief inspectors to that meeting, and we talked about schedules and everything very early up front, and it's extremely helpful to the contractors. We appreciate them contacting us and wanting to go through this process with the division. Andy Dalmy and Martin met with the New Mexico Roofing Association contractors at their monthly meetings and gave presentations regarding the GS-21 and GS-21A proposed rule change verbiage, and was very well accepted at that meeting. And Mr. Romero attended a wellness and loss prevention control program that's RLD asked him to attend to become proficient in learning the additional skills needed to respond to medical emergencies, cardiac emergencies, and those kind of issues that might happen in the workplace. They're looking for someone in each building and in each floor of each building that has this background and could help until the proper people from emergency get there. So we appreciate Martine taking the time to do that. In the Mechanical Bureau, J.T. Baca talks about the half-day manager meetings and other meetings they've had regarding the Acela, how that's been beneficial and accepted. We've already discussed that. They too were involved in the UNMH meeting with Brycon. And J.T. Baca, my bureau chief, and Tamara Kuykendall met with, did 6 hours of training regarding grease hoods, cooking equipment, and fire suppression system requirements for commercial kitchen setting. The training was hosted and facilitated by John Ludy, State Fire Marshal's office at the Albuquerque Fire Academy. So we're reaching out to the Fire Marshal office and to partner with them and helping to educate them on some of the day-to-day issues that we run into that are also concerned to the Fire Marshal's office. In the Electrical Bureau, Kelly Hunt has been meeting with we have a new vendor at for the Midway at the State Fair, and of course we're now in September, so we're far further along with this than what I'm reporting here. But we met early on with this new vendor. The Fire Marshal met with us. They're very pleased with this new vendor in the Midway. Much more safely set up overall. They commented about the fire lanes and how the people at the Midway understood the importance of safety. And so we've been working very closely with the Expo New Mexico as the State Fair came on board. Southeast area, the oil and gas, we continue with the inspections in the oil field. We've pulled back on overtime that was being allowed to do our budget for this fiscal year. But Kelly's group is doing their best and so far keeping up with the required inspections in the oil fields without the additional overtime. We've had 2 new hires in the electrical, Randy Torres and Jesse Romero, Southern Region and Central Region. We welcome them aboard, and they're fitting in very nicely with the rest of the team and helping us from the electrical inspection point of view. And then kudos to Kelly as well, Bureau Chief, hosting the NERA, NERA, National Electrical Reciprocity Allowance Convention. First time in Mexico to have this convention. We had it in Santa Fe. Kelly hosted that. Melissa helped with the arrangements at the Drury Inn and Suites, and it was very successful. 15 of 17 states that are in that organization were represented, and it was a 2-day conference, and it was extremely well attended and a lot of good information dispersed. LP Gas Bureau, Clay Bailey and his team have been extremely busy. This is the special events time of the year, as you know. They've done inspections for various TV series and movies. Comancheria, War on Everyone, Manhattan, Edge, Independence Day Return, all those were, inspections were performed on those. Concert inspections, group Slayer and Slipknot had concerts. I'm concerned with Kelly out there, the only one that has a cowboy hat on in the area, and so we keep that in mind as he ventures out into these various concerts. We had a lot of special events. They're listed there: Freedom 4th, Pancakes on the Plaza, Las Vegas Fiesta, Pork and Brew, Santa Fe Wine Festival, Espanola Festival, International Folk Art Market, Fire and Ice Motorcycle Rally, Taos Fiesta, Arabian Youth Show, Spanish Market, Los Alamos Rodeo, Fiesta Day, San Juan County Fair, Great American Duck Race, Curry County Fair, Roosevelt County Fair, and the Indian Market. We've recently had some new special events that we haven't been involved in before from Lincoln County, and we welcome them inviting us to those Lincoln Days and the Otero County Fair, Valencia County Fair as well. To put this in perspective for you, just in this past month, LP Gas has inspected 7 special events, and just the attendance in those 7 events has been close to 1 million people on site at those events. So what they do with life safety health inspections is extremely important and very much appreciated. Both Chief Bailey and Chief Inspector Morrison have been attending meetings with the Expo in Mexico and with the State Fair. They were out there till 9 and 10 o'clock at night, 2 days just before the fair opened, and then 2 weeks prior to that, making sure everything was in place and in compliance. So that's very much appreciated as well. They also are meeting with Faro Gas, upper management, and the Balloon Fiesta officials. The Balloon Fiesta starts right away, and they're already planning for that. And the Balloon Fiesta, as you know, makes the State Fair look like a small event, so it's an extremely busy time for them. They're also involved in the Acela training and staying on track with that. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you might have.
I got a couple of comments. With the new Acela program, is that going to require, when the contractors go online for their permitting, a different website? Or is still going to be the same?
They can use their PCs, and someone want to answer that more directly?
Okay, so that will be changed that?
Yeah, that won't change.
And then I also had one of my electrical contractors at home called me with just a minor thing, but he said that when he submits electronic plans, that sometimes they're going to your junk mail. You heard of that? He said he submitted 8 plans and he only received 6 of them. And the other 6, or he only received 2 of them. And they found the other 6 in junk mail. I didn't know if that was.
I'll look into that.
Okay. Okay, because he received 2 permits and he said I submitted for 8. He said that they found them, but they were in junk. So we can check on that. Okay. All right.
So was that considered Silver City? Very good. Any other?
Good on how to use them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Old business? Do we want to handle old business?
Well, that guys, I'm going to get out of here.
Okay. Commissioner Casey, thank you very much for your time. Approval of 5A, approval of, I need to make one comment. During roll call, Commissioner Fickling name was not mentioned. I apologize, and she is here. So officially, we have to be official about officially recognizing the fact that she's officially here. So now that it's official, we can move on. Now it's official. Old business, 5A, approval of July 15, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Anybody have the motion to accept the July 15th minutes? Has anybody had time to accept July 15th? I move to approve. Very good. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All abstain. All abstain. Very good, sir. I think we have a quorum. Next item, 5B, approve amended May 20th, 2015 regular meeting minutes.
Question?
Yes, sir.
What was the amendment to those minutes? I didn't have my previous minutes to compare them to.
If I may respond, Commissioner Woodland, it was basically verbiage. I have a copy of the changes that the AG's office made, if you'd like to see them.
And there were changes made by the AG's office?
That's correct. They were edits.
Well, actually, if I may, the changes to the May 20th meeting were based on a review of the audio, and the CID compliance committee identified that there was an error. So these were not changes that were suggested by the Attorney General's office. These were based on a review. This is the instructions I had gotten, is that CID compliance had reviewed the audio and had identified that there was an error.
And they were to compliance?
It was verbiage issues. I can show you if you like. The changes were also made by the AG's office because compliance saw a difference in the video in comparison to what was picked up.
Okay. Can I see those changes?
Can we have copies of that?
The one in the back is.
For y'all.
Fall apart on me, right? Start being meeting.
May 2015.
These are the originals. That's the amended May.
Okay. This is just the only change.
That was the only change, just in that one section there. You can see from the strike through the list.
This is what's in this one.
No, that would have been May. That's a signature for meeting minutes. It would have to be signed, re-signed, and submitted because this is for May. Which one is?
It is what's in your book.
Okay. So we have a second. So good.
MCA settlement agreements. Basically, all you do is recommend, to authorize you to recommend the NCA settlements.
And the key to that was the language that fails or they fail to agree to the one.
Then they see all. That's fine.
Thank you. So I heard the motion. Second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item. New business. 6A, introduction of new commissioner, member Mr. Glenn Fellows, but I think we've kind of done that already. Would you like to give us a brief narrative of the vast knowledge that you have in the architectural industry. And, you know, Glenn and I go back many, should I say more than many years?
We've worked together. I think I've worked with a lot of people on this commission and previous commissions. Appreciate the opportunity to come help us solve, deal with some issues, come to resolutions.
Well, you literally have big shoes to fill. You know, Dale has big feet myself, so. But we're glad to have you aboard. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Now it's official. Now it's official. Next item, B, approval of electrical continuing education courses and providers. Mr. Kelly Hunt, how are you today, sir?
Very good, Chairman Baker, thank you. And Commissioners, you have before you the executive summary outlining 25 providers for our electrical continuing education program. And I'm going to make a comment here that touches on another executive summary item. Our continuing education program is mandated for certain journeyman electricians to take continuing education. Part of that is 8 hours of code change and then 8 hours of other industry related every 3 years, so that they are mandated to stay current and abreast, at least with 16 hours of classroom environment. We maintain over 400 providers on our webpage. But this is done by statute and rule so that they can continue their journeyman license and stay abreast of code items. So those 25 are there before you. Some of those are renewals and some of them are new.
Very good. No questions? Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept these?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed no. Motion carries. I apologize, I did not say motion by Commissioner Cotton, second by Commissioner Fellows. Next item, C, request for approval to move forward to public hearing on electrical proposed rule changes to NMAC 14.6.6.10B2G, NMAC 14.6.6.10C10, NMAC 14.6.6.10B, and NMAC 14.6.4.8D1C. Say that 3 times really quick.
Chairman Baker and Commissioners, I'm not sure if I have these out of order, but the first one I'm presenting is for the continuing education requirement for electrical residential journeyman certification for ER1J. So we have currently under statute and rule our E98J and EL1J that have to take continuing education. So those are our commercial facets of our journeyman electricians that work in the field. We do have a subcategory specialty, 2-year journeyman certificate out there for ER1J. The whole plan was always to bring these aspects into the same realm of continuing education. As we stated with the previous executive summary, the entire goal there is to have an educated workforce. And so this is part of our natural progression now to include the residential journeyman certification in the continuing education requirement. This will require them to take 8 hours of code change and then 8 hours of industry other at their discretion there when they go to renew their journeyman certification. The end result of this will actually produce, we feel, a cost savings to the industry and will provide a better educated workforce and thus contribute in better fashion to life and property safety for the citizens of New Mexico. So that's what you have before you, the request to go to public hearing to now move to embrace the residential journeyman in our continuing education effort. So that's before you for your consideration.
Very good. Motion?
My question,
Yes, sir.
when we doing the public hearing, we still doing it for location, or we're just doing one? No more?
So I believe what we're doing now is we're holding the public hearing at one location. Our last public hearing that we did, Commissioner Baker chaired that, I believe. And then telephonically, we include anyone from around the state that wants to participate. And then they can also write in their comments ahead of that. And of course, we have to follow all the rules to advertise that prior to that public hearing.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Topman, second by Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Very good, thanks.
Next item, 6D, approval of mechanical continuing education courses and providers. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chairman Baker, I apologize. Included in my C item there, I have another executive summary in your packet there.
Okay.
And maybe continue. Chairman Baker and Commissioners, you have before you our second executive summary there. This is involving the automation low voltage specialty contractor's license and journeyman certification specific to the oil and gas industry. This is a circumstance where the oil and gas industry came to us through our inspectors, largely through Chief Inspector Roten, who handles the Northwest area for us in oil and gas. And currently our low voltage recipe, if you were, of license and journeyman certification is very broad scope. So if you can imagine a person growing up in the oil industry working for their dad or friend or whatever, and then their only exposure is working on oil and gas automation. And then when they go to take the test to become a journeyman under our current ES3 or ES7, ES3 would be more appropriate. Well, then we're testing them on how to provide low voltage wiring in a Walmart. So we had an apples and oranges type situation. Some of the individuals were able to take and study for it and acquire the journeyman certification. But we were really doing the industry a disservice by having that situation there. And we'd acknowledged it for some time, but didn't quite know how to get our hands on it because we didn't want to appear to be heavy-handed to the industry. But when the industry came to us and said, we need your help to bring forth a new license and journeyman certification that better fits the actual field experience of our people that are doing automation in oil and gas, we listened. So this has been going on for well over a year. We've had many meetings, high-level meetings. Director McMurray has participated in many of those. And we took proposals from the field, and our TAC, our electrical TAC, has been involved with this over a number of different meetings and proposals by the oil and gas industries where they came to Albuquerque and made a presentation. So what you have before you is the executive summary requesting permission to go to public hearing to add a new oil and gas low voltage automation contractor's license and journeyman certification. But once again, I just want to reiterate, this isn't a heavy-handed move by the state. This is a move to accommodate the oil and gas industry at their request because they want to remain in a compliance approved state and be able to test and approve their journeymen and contractors and have them legitimately above boards working legally in their field. So you'll find as you go through the rule there, we've added ES11 there when you get down to the electrical portion of the rule there on licensing and classification. And you find the description there of the ES11 and all that's contained in that. Their parameters of where they can work, where they cannot work, and everything else. So this has all been done. This language was vetted through our technical advisory council, and then of course finalized by the Bureau. But we have that before you for your review, and we ask that you approve it to go to public hearing.
So that ES11 will be a journeyman's license.
Well, we have ES11 for the contractor's license, And then on the next page, you find the ES11J. So, which parallels all of our other licensing scheme. So for example, their general electrical contractor's license would be an E98, then with the follow-up E98J journeyman certification. So we're following the same catechism of the ES11 electrical contractor's specialty low voltage license, and then the ES11J journeyman certification to work under that. And these would be specialty licenses and certificates.
Quick question for you. So obviously under the ES11 is going to be under, if you got an E98 you covered, what are you going to do with these contractors if they go apply? Do they have to test it at it, or we grandfather them in, or what are we doing?
No, we will be testing on this. Actually, in the previous packet, under our consideration for continuing education, you might notice that we've also included the ER1J. We've started to include some of the providers, so the information is very similar in there. Much of what they will be learning and testing on, we have to write a special packet now for that with PSI that focuses on that. So that is work that is still before the TAC and the Bureau. You might recall back to the recently adopted water well drillers information that we added under ES10 and ES10R for the water well pump installers. This is the beginning of a years-long process where we accomplish the same thing for the water well pump installers. So once we go to, with your permission, to public hearing, and then we can get this new category in place, then we will start the process of identifying through our SME, subject matter experts, in our cooperation with PSI to orchestrate the new testing for the contractor's license and for the specialty journey. And then they will be tested according to their field knowledge, not on how to wire a wall.
And Mr. Chairman, I might add is the discussions we've had with the industry, they've already giving some listed and suggested questions and things that are really appropriate for what they are doing in the day-to-day field operations. So the test will be very helpful to what they're actually accomplishing.
So I guess one of my questions, comment is, obviously a lot of these companies are doing work in other states. What are the other states doing for level competency for this same electrical requirement?
Good question. Some of the states are very accommodating. Some states are in a wildcat position where they're not always testing their folks. So sometimes it's a challenge. But in New Mexico, as you know, for the benefit of life and property safety, we have our contractor's license and journeyman program. Some states have a very similar program. I can't recall which ones those are right off the top of my head. Put you on the spot. Chief Roby, do you recall any states that might be similar to what we're proposing?
I don't. I know we did a search of other surrounding states, and all of them are looking at us now to see what we're going to do with it. They're more than willing to comply and follow us. We're just kind of taking the reins and going forward with it. So we've got a lot of states watching us at this point.
The oil and gas folks that we deal with are 100% behind this as well. So it's the producers are behind this, and then the independent folks are behind this as well. So once again, New Mexico is we're at the forefront of technology and the apparatus to make a safe environment for the people that work in this field.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Question, John. So does that mean a journeyman electrician that's an E98J, then he covers all the specialties that journeyman does?
Yes, that's correct.
Because I'm thinking people taking 30 years back, there wasn't all these different specialties in J. I just didn't know how they would be affected.
Chairman Baker, Commissioner Armstrong, that's correct. So a person holding the E98J is kind of the granddaddy of everything 5,000 volts and below. And they cover all the specialty licenses. But since you asked the question, I'll offer this up. For the industry to be in compliance, by having journeymen present on the job when our inspectors go out and say, well, this looks very good. Who's carrying a journeyman's card today? To make sure that they're in compliance with our law. Many times the oil and gas folks were forced to hire an EE98J that may not necessarily have been familiar with oil and gas, but they carried the journeyman card. So we had this conundrum where they hired an electrician that had done his comeuppance in the industrial and commercial field, but didn't have a clue on how to wire a gas well or do the automation there. So this will help out in that situation.
Thank you.
I guess we're training the inspectors as well to understand the inner workings of the gas and electrical system on site, or how are we managing that?
The Electrical Bureau certifies 50 inspectors across the state currently that are currently certified and approved as inspectors. We monitor their progress and their continuing education. 20 of those 50 inspectors are under direct employ of the state. Under those 20 inspectors currently in the field, we have 3 inspectors dedicated to the oil and gas industry. Chief Inspector Jay Rogie up in the Northwest, who is part of the pioneering effort in this licensing effort, is well versed in that automation. In the Southeast, we have Aaron Moore, whose post of duty is Lovington, New Mexico, and Joseph Martinez, his post of duty is in Artesia. Very well informed of these things that are happening in the Permian Basin down there, as well as what's happening in the Northwest. We're doing our best to stay abreast. Stay together.
Anything else? Our motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Copeland, second by Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman Ray.
Thank you, sir. Next item 6D, J.T. Baca. Come on down. Approval of mechanical continuing education courses and providers.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm here before you as the Mechanical Bureau Chief to ask for approval and ask that you move the courses and instructors submitted for continuing education be approved as presented. These courses were reviewed by the Mechanical Bureau and or the Mechanical TAC and meet the requirements for continuing education requirements for education.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Armstrong. Was that photo finished? I hear too. Second by Commissioner Wooten. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed no. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? JT, you're good?
Thank you.
6E, approval of license issued in July and August of 2014. Mr. Dalby, how are you today, sir?
Fine, thank you, Chairman Baker. Commissioners, you have before you the statistical summaries for licensing activity for July and August, which includes the new licenses issued for the months for both CID and Healthy Gas Bureau, as well as lists of qualifying parties having 2 existing licenses for both years, and we ask that you approve these as submitted.
I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Coffin, leave on the staff. We have a motion. Second. Motion by Commissioner Pickling, second by Commissioner Wooten. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed good for that today?
This language.
That's probably close enough. Go ahead. You can be here for roll call. We'll just wait for that for roll call. Or we can do that.
All right, I move the commission close the meeting to the public and enter into executive session to discuss the cases listed under agenda items 7A through E pursuant to NMSA 1978, sections 10-15-1, H1, 3, and 7. Such discussion shall pertain to the issuance, suspension, renewal, or revocation of licenses, deliberations on pending administrative adjudicatory proceedings, and pending or threatened litigation.
Second. Did I hear it? Motion, I heard a second. I'm sorry, I heard it, I didn't. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Wooten, second by Commissioner Fellows. I guess roll call.
Chairman Baker,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wooten,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Casey, Commissioner Fickler.
Yes.
Commissioner Coughlin.
Yes, say yes.
Commissioner Coughlin.
What?
Roll call.
For what? Tell me what I'm roll calling for.
The executive session.
Yes.
Commissioner Alvarado.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes to my wife and not ask a question.
Commissioner Irwin.
Yes.
Commissioner Fellows.
Okay. Quorum. We're now excused to walk through the. All right. Just, I lost my script, so bear with me. All the items we've discussed at our executive session today were strictly based upon what's on today's agenda. So if you have any problems with that, or if you not like proper verbiage for my speech, talk to my underwriters and my writer. We're now back in session. It's now 1:35 p.m. on September 16th, 2015. With that, we'll go through our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission
I got
is
it,
to
JT.
dismiss cases listed under agenda item 7A 1 through 15.
So moved. Motion by Commissioner Wooten. Second. Second by Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to close the cases listed under agenda item 7B 1 through 11.
So moved. Motion Wooten. Second Commissioner Alvarado. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to authorize a pre-NCA settlement agreement, and if settlement agreement is not reached, to then issue a notice of contemplated action in the cases listed under agenda items 7C 1 through 3.
So moved. Second. Motion Commissioner Wooten, second Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no. Motion carries. Next item. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to refer to the Office of the Attorney General and issue a notice of contemplated action for case number 7C4. And Mr. Chairman, I would also note for the record that case number 7C4 was listed incorrectly on the July 15th, 2015 agenda. It was incorrectly listed as 52-150-02-02. And so it was represented at the September 16th, 2015 CIC meeting in order to correct the case number.
So moved. Second. Motion by Commissioner Wooten, second by Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to refer to the Office of the Attorney General for issuance of a notice of contemplated action for cases listed in agenda item 7D 1 through 9 and 7D 11 through 18.
So moved. Second. Motion, Commissioner Wooten, second, Commissioner Alvarado. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding the desire of the commission is to issue an amended notice of contemplated action in the case listed under agenda item 7D10.
So moved. Motion, Commissioner Wooten. Do I hear a second? Second, Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $400 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E1.
So moved. Motion, Commissioner Wooten. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Kaufman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
It's my understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $400 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E2.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Commissioner Armstrong, second by Commissioner Kaufman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
It's my understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $800 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E3.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Kaufman.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to table the case listed in agenda item 7E4.
If you table, so you don't have to have a motion.
Just table. I believe you're correct. Okay, we'll add kind of a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Motion by Commissioner Kaufman, second. Second by Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
My understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $300 for the terms of the settlement agreement listed in agenda item 7E5.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Kaufman. Second. Second, Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
My understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $300 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E6.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Kaufman. Second, Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item.
My understanding the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $700 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E7.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Kaufman. Second, Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Can you take all four of those if you want to dismiss them?
1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 dismissals, but it may be complicated.
Yeah, we'll just do them separately. It's my understanding that the desire of the commission is to dismiss the case listed under agenda item 7E8.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Kaufman. Second, Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 9.
My understanding the desire of the commission is to table in order to allow time to correct the case number listed in the footer of the settlement agreement that was listed in agenda item 7E9.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Coppin. Second. Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item, 10.
My understanding, the desire of the commission is to dismiss the case listed under agenda item 7E10.
So moved.
Commissioner Coppin, second Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
My understanding, the desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $300 per the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E11.
So moved.
Motion Commissioner Coppin. Second. Second Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item, 12.
My understanding, desire of the commission is to dismiss the case listed under agenda item 7E12.
So moved.
Motion Commissioner Coppin. Second. Second Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item.
It's my understanding, desire of the commission is to approve the proposed settlement agreement in the amount of $500 for the terms of the settlement agreement in agenda item 7E13.
So moved.
Motion Commissioner Coppin. Second. Second Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
It's my understanding the desire of the commission is to dismiss the cases listed under agenda item 7E14 and 7E15.
So moved.
Motion Commissioner Coppin. Second. Second Commissioner Fellows, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Special considerations.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, with regard to special considerations, case number 1, that's case number 182-13-05-15. It's my understanding that the desire of the commission in that referenced case number is to invalidate the amended decision and order issued on August 11, 2015, to rescind the decision and order entered on August 4th, 2015, and to dismiss the case.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Coppin. Second. Second by Commissioner Fellows. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, under special consideration case number 2, that's 315-130729, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission in that agenda item is to reopen the case and issue a notice of hearing with the agreement that respondent waive the hearing deadline and venue requirements under the Uniform Licensing Act.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Armstrong.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Coppin. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, with regard to the agenda items listed under 7F1 through 7, it's my understanding the desire of the commission is to table all cases listed under agenda items 7F1 through 7 for consideration at a future meeting of the commission.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Coppin.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. G. Session G.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that the desire of the commission in agenda item 7G1, case number 431-130924, Cayman Inc., qualifying party Catherine Marshall. The desire of the commission in that case is to issue a final decision and order adopting the hearing officer's report and findings of fact, making conclusions of law, and dismissing all charges in agenda item 7G1.
Mr. Chairman. Abstain.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Coppin.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Wooten. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
With Commissioner Armstrong abstaining. Do I hear a no? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Forgot where I was going with that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it's my understanding that with regard to agenda item 7G1, case number 12-2368, George Varela Construction LLC, QP George P. Varela, that the desire of the commission is to table this case for consideration at a future commission meeting, and also to allow respondent the opportunity to submit proposed findings of fact, and if respondent so chooses to submit proposed findings of fact, that they shall be submitted no later and October 14th, 2015.
Motion, Commissioner Coppin.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Armstrong. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And,
Agenda item 7H. It's my understanding the desire of the commission is for commission council to proceed in accordance with the instructions given during executive session for agenda item 7H 1 through 4.
So moved.
motion, Commissioner Wooten, second, Commissioner Coppin. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next meeting date, November 18, 2015, RLD Construction Industries Conference. Mr. Wooten, please bring a sweater with you that time. And thank you all for being here today. Have a great day. Motion to adjourn, how about that? Thank you very much. Motion by Commissioner Coppin, second by Commissioner Chili, Commissioner Wooten. Adjourn.